Hello, Gonky.
Hello, Mover. How are you?
Hold on. This camera's crazy.
What camera? Looks good.
It looks craziness.
No. Doug, are you with us?
What's happening?
As far as you know.
How are you, Senor Gonky?
Yeah, I'm good. Man, look at all the room on this screen for stuff.
I know. Dude, how angry are the comments so far?
It's Dude, where's the talent?
We have any holdovers from last week and the angriness?
We want some talent on this show, not just.
We're starting this week with all new anger.
Yeah.
There's only 300 people watching because everybody's like, there's no drama this week.
No Casmo.
No Casmo.
No Wombat.
No Wombat. Nothing controversial. No soapboxes. We might get some soapboxes.
Oh, there's always a soapbox, man. Come on.
It will be respectful and neutral.
Everything's controversial.
Apparently, we are very political these days.
I don't think so.
We are both MAGA and flaming liberals, and we're both. So,
dude, listen, we're both multi-role guys, right?
It just depends on which video you're talking about. We're both woke and not woke. We're Schrodinger's politicians.
You can't say the sky is blue without being political these days.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's too bad you just can't, joke around and still have friends,
Friends.
Yeah. It's like in Tombstone, right? He's like, are we still friends?
I don't.
I'll be your Huckleberry.
That's right. So, yeah, I don't know. Doesn't matter, man.
What did you do this weekend?
Well, I hobbled around on my one good leg as much as I could.
In a circle?
Usual. Yeah, it's like I'm like a ship with a stuck rudder, dude. I just do circles.
Just circles.
No, man. I hung out with my kid. Took a Rip Dog riding his motorcycle and stuff. It's fun. He's getting good. He's learning how he's doing a little shifting, and he's figuring out the clutch. And it's just if you got kids, watching them do new things, it's like it's new again for you, and that's a lot of fun. Even though I'm crippled, I can't ride with him. It's fun to sit out there and scream at him to slow down. So, but
okay.
Yeah, man, I did that. I did a little bit of work up the old trailer park. How about you, man? What'd you do?
So let's play a game.
Oh no.
2 truths and a lie.
I suck at this game, dude.
Okay, two truths and a lie. Okay. I sold the ZR1, got engaged, bought a helicopter.
Oh, dude. Whoa. Wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
No,
give me some hints. I can't say her occupation because she's an agent of the state. Her name is Michelle Decker.
You did not get engaged, dude.
Did I? Or did I sell the ZR1? Or did I buy a helicopter?
I think you sold the Zero. Wait a minute.
Two of those things fit together very neatly.
Yeah.
ZR1 or ZR6?
I may have done both. 2 truths and a lie. ZR1.
Oh, dude. I don't know if we can be friends if you sold that car.
Just saying. What do you think?
I think you sold the ZR1.
2 truths and a lie, dude. 2 truths and a lie.
I'm sad. I think you sold the ZR1, dude.
2 true. 2.
Oh.
2 truths.
Oh my gosh. You sold the ZR1 and you bought a helicopter.
2 truths.
Bought an engagement ring.
Could have bought an engagement ring. What do they say? 6-year salary?
Whoa.
Yeah, no. Listen, dude.
We're gonna end up back where I'm asking you to marry me.
Right.
You don't believe Michelle Decker's real? I'm giving you a real name and a real job. Federal agent.
Look, dude. Those are the 2 truths I think are most probable. I've been wrong many times in the past, and I'm probably wrong again. And right now I can hear Doug asking AI which one is
no.
He's asking Chat GPT which one's most probable.
Doug knows the truth, Doug.
I'm trying to get advice about how much you should spend on an engagement ring.
Doug,
sir.
You actually talked to me this weekend.
Quite a lot, as usual.
So what are the 2 truths?
I'm waiting for Gonky to come up with it.
Dude, I just told you what I thought were the 2 truths. I'm pretty sure.
The only helicopter I own is right here.
Oh, dude, you wait a minute. Did you get engaged?
I told you it was going to work out. Did I not tell you it was going to work out?
What, dude? Either catch-up brain is getting real bad.
Shit happens fast, dude. You got to keep up.
Are you serious? Doug, help me out, dude. As the producer.
I'm not going to get in the way of Mover's life decisions.
Yeah, well,
Doug is aware.
Hey, okay, so which one's the lie? You kept the 01. Oh, the helicopter.
I don't own a helicopter.
You don't want to? Okay. Okay.
I needed a nest egg.
So you sold the 01 and you got engaged. Well, if that's true, congratulations, man. I can't believe it.
Thank you, Thag. Somebody reads the damn books. Dude, it's April Fool's somewhere.
That was the
April
bait.
Fool's somewhere.
I told you I suck at this game, man.
Yeah,
Listen.
it's April Fool's somewhere. Me and Doug were trying to figure out. I was like, he's never going to believe it. But
yeah,
cat shot brain, all things are possible.
Correct. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Plus, I don't sleep much these days with kids. So anything that's remotely slightly possible.
Yeah. Special Agent Michelle Decker. If you read my damn books, dude, what kind of friend are you?
Well, I know there was a Gonky in one of your books. I mean, come on.
That's true also.
Special Agent Michelle Decker.
The only limit on this whole thing was my ability to play along.
You sucked at it, Doug. Thanks a lot, dude.
No, Doug
Oh.
he did a good job. I'm not gonna lie.
I didn't know which one to jump in on.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So what's funny, the whole you got engaged thing. I was like, there is no way.
Now watch, if he actually
There's
does it,
no
nobody will
way.
believe him.
Thanks, dude.
No.
Appreciate that.
No.
Right.
Like there's
You know what? You've hurt my feelings.
No, what I meant was
my feelings. No, let's just, you know what? You hurt my feelings. You hurt my feelings now.
So in a month, Mover does get engaged, and neither one of us will believe him.
Right.
He didn't even let me finish.
No, I don't want you to finish now. You know what? That's fine. Let's see what the audience has to say. I've had it. You know what? Shouldn't have done it. Shouldn't have done it. Shouldn't have done it. What is this? Who are all these super chats? Was that a TR Matson though?
Yeah.
Oh, I accidentally.
I'll go get it back.
He says I'm not buying any of this crap. See, this is why it's a good thing Wombat wasn't on the show. He'd have ruined it.
Yeah.
He'd have ruined the crap out of this. Gonky, you're an easy target.
It's not April yet, man.
It is in our UK.
In Australia.
All the people east. It's already April Fool's over there. So the mental health minute is now gone. Movers never getting engaged. We'll never find love.
That's going
to be the mental health minute. Go ahead and write that down because we didn't talk about.
The mental health minute could be Gonky the punching bag again.
Hey, is it April Fool's in Turkey?
I believe so.
Hi guys. Today I'm on time for the show. Salute from Turkey. 308.
Roughly on the other side of the world.
Wow, thanks, man.
So he's and we had that starred one. Where'd it go, Doug?
Which one did you want?
Navman
last week.
Navman had done one last week, and
I don't know if I can get that back. Hang on. Yeah. Here you go.
Hey. Well, Casmo's not with us right now. He's alive, but he's not with us right now.
He's here in spirit.
He's no longer with the show.
Well, I mean, not forever. Just like this episode. He's not here.
Too much context.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
Oh, man. Sea snakes, Gonky. Sea snakes.
That one's believable, dude.
Laura B says, I deserve the helicopter. Not the woman, but the helicopter. I don't deserve a Michelle Decker. I deserve Airwolf. You know what? I'll take it. If you can't have Michelle Decker, give me Airwolf.
Now that you've got your brain set up that way, it's all going the same direction.
But you know what?
Yeah.
I'm not Spectre either. So Spectre is the main character of 10 of my
Spectre
books.
series.
The Spectre series that you don't know anything about.
He's a guest character in a couple too.
had
Heat
one.
Seeker, give Gonky a break with that beard. He probably just lost Wilson.
Wilson.
God.
You guys are funny.
You know what's funny though is I guarantee you, people will
yeah.
start congratulating me on Twitter.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Perfect.
Somebody's
Like,
going to clip
Like
this.
nobody is going to get to the April Fool's part, and everything we just said was true. That's why. See, we had an idea of a new sponsor that was just going to be this wild, outlandish thing, but I was afraid if we do that, people would believe it, and then we'd never get a real sponsor.
The new ED solution, especially for pilots.
Yeah.
That's
not
valid,
that one.
dude.
No, we're
That's
not,
valid.
not doing that one. Renee says, you putts. I thought for sure you sold the car and got engaged. See, Renee's on Team Gonky.
Well, that would be that's something men do. That
Sell the 01.
sell their car. I did. Look, go to Facebook.
What kind of men?
Marketplace. Like
What
getting
kind of
married,
men?
getting married or having a baby, right?
It's
must sell
it's-
motorcycle, must sell car. Like
It's
all
an inverse midlife crisis.
Yeah.
He sold his Corvette.
That's right. Yes, he sold the vet. Yes, he traded for minivan.
Yeah. Well, we're trying here. The show is off the rails as usual. Navman, welcome back, Navman. Landing strip on
The beard.
Oh,
The white stripes.
Oh, north of the equator. Nice place for a trap. Call the ball. Ha ha. You suck. Oh, at this game, bro.
I told you,
Check
man.
the chin landing lights. Dude, you should be wiser with that beard. Not.
They asked me at church this week, and they're like, "Hey, what's the deal with the beard?" I was like, "I was hoping it would make me look wiser, but I guess as long as I keep my mouth shut, maybe it works. Maybe." No. Mm-hmm. It's coming off though. This is the last week for the beard because I have to go.
You know what? We're flip flopping because now I'm working on mine.
Yeah. This is like 3 months in the making though, so this will probably never happen again because I'm gonna have to shave this thing off. So it's gonna be I have to call a plumber to come undo my.
Just do it in the yard.
Yeah. Look like I murdered a small animal out there, man.
Yeah.
That's why I cut this thing off.
Take some clippers to it.
Yeah.
Zippers Forever says, just find a woman that hates you and buy her a house.
He's married.
Fun times. No, you know what, dude? I'm still a hopeless romantic. I was watching End to Watch last night for the first time. Never seen that movie. Very sad. But he talks about, he's like, how do you know? It's like, you got to find a woman that you can't live without.
Yep.
Is that true? Is that the way it works?
Yeah. 100%,
Like you can't imagine your life without her?
Yeah. I just, my worst argument in day with her is better than without her at all. It's, that's when I knew. I was like, dang it, marry this girl.
Did you know immediately?
Yeah. Pretty much. Yeah.
See? I told you,
Yeah.
Gonky.
You need to ask somebody though that's been married a couple times. Be like, hey, is that
A couple times.
is that a false positive and Gonky got lucky again, or is that
No one on this show. I'm still surprised I made a decision that good when I was 19.
yeah, right? I mean, yeah. Well, dude, it happens.
Good talk. We've been covered. Actually, in sadder news, tomorrow is the funeral of Grant Candies, who was tragically killed March 23rd, 2025. I won't be going to that.
Right?
No, well, so I helped with, there's going to be a live stream. So I was helping today set that up. And then I was helping Friday, because there's so much that goes into that stuff. It's very sad, because the agency wants to do right by the family, and the family's just trying to pick up the pieces. And then there's the media, and then because it's a big story for local media. But I won't be there because I'm trying to help on another side of the agency so that other people can go. So we won't be able to partake, but very sad. But that is tomorrow. So and then the new book has been out for a week now. Got my first 2-star review.
What?
Mm-hmm. No words.
Ban
just
it.
2-star. You can't. You can't. It's not like YouTube comments, dude. You can't. You like if you go to Goodreads and you get like a 2 or a 1-star review, and you start to respond, it comes up with a warning message, and it's like, hold on a second. Bad reviews are part of the process. Everybody gets bad reviews. It's even worse to try to respond and explain. Like there's a whole thing you got to read before it lets you respond. It's like a cooling off period.
It's too bad that you don't get. I mean, if you want to give a 2-star review, that's fine, but leave some feedback. So maybe you can.
Yeah.
Maybe improve your next book if it needs it.
I'm like at 11 or 12 books at this point. I'm not improving. Like you get what you get at this point. Like I write it, you read it, you like it. I hope, but if you don't, nothing you say at this point is gonna change how Mover writes. I'm just not for you.
Is this your first sci-fi book?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is.
Very nice. Yeah. Very nice.
Big in the. Oh, no, wrong one. Anyway, we got to talk about topics today, I guess.
Yeah, man.
Do you have anything you'd like to bamboozle me with, sir? Did you?
No, man. I had an entire day full of work and wrangling kids. I didn't have time to even think of a April Fool's.
We thought about this pretty joke last minute.
Yeah,
there was a plan to say I got married, and I was going to Sharpie the ring finger, but I wasn't sure you'd buy that one.
Yeah.
All right, you can believe a tattoo is way too much of a stretch.
Yeah. So our first topic today, near and dear to our hearts, Gonky, because it involves the Airbus, which you currently fly, and it involves the T-38A, which we used to fly. You and I both used to fly it.
Yes. Very familiar.
Perhaps even our old jets. Doug, I've got it. I've got the VAS Aviation up.
Better to play it safe.
And we're going to listen to the collision alert. I've got some amplifying information. I did a video on my channel, but there's been some new stuff that's come out. So we'll try and see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no. Let's do the floating heads.
Thank you, VAS.
Yes, VAS is awesome.
Yes, thank you.
So Delta Airbus he got it. He's going to get an angry letter from Delta. It is Delta Airlines Space Airbus A319. Well, all kinds of proofreading here. Performing flight 2983 from DCA to Minneapolis, St. Paul. Trying to get Meemaw to Minneapolis.
Mm-hmm.
Was on climb out when the pilots received an onboard collision avoidance alert, TCAS RA. And due to flight of 4 T-38 Talon planes coming in close for a practice maneuver over the airport, they were actually doing a flyover at Arlington, missing man formation.
Right.
Okay. I paused it.
Delta 2963, 2983, runway 196, take off flight runway heading maintain 5000.
Runway heading 5000, so take off 19.
Blue Streak 308, contact on departure.
Switching departure, Blue Streak 308. Departure, Blue Streak 308, passing 2000 for 5000, heading 170.
Oh.
Blue Streak 308, summit better contact, maintain flight level 190, heading 090. Heading 090, 190, Blue Streak 308.
Delta 2983, contact on departure.
Delta 2983, switching today.
So that's as close as they got.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was
200 feet, right? And
200 feet, 0.7 miles. We'll see if it gets that close.
Delta 193.
Yeah, it doesn't show
Delta 193. Can you hold your
From what I understand, it was a 3/4 of a mile.
Delta 2983, climate 5000, where am I heading? Delta 2983, some departure radar contact, climate maintain 120,000. Maintain 120,000, look 2983.
all aircraft in the whole bay 19, just stand by for a few minutes. We got a temporary stop on departure.
Delta 2983, clear to elbow. Delta 2983, go ahead. Unfortunately, we had a Sorry, was there an actual aircraft about 500 feet below us as we came off of DCA? Definitely not easy aircraft. Okay.
Blue 5576, we'll get you back in. The flyby's all done. Appreciate your patience. Sorry I couldn't give you more of a heads up. They increased their time over target, so that's what the vector away from the field was.
Gotcha. Thank you for your heads up, 5576.
And then they go do the flyover. Everything was good. But everything was not good.
No.
Not too long after that, drama ensued. Hold on, I will share.
Yeah, I think what one of the controllers is they put one of the controllers on leave, right?
Well, so the FAA is now investigating alleged fight in DCA air traffic control tower.
Oh, wow.
FAA said they are looking into reports of an alleged fight in the air traffic control at Reagan National Airport, according to brief statement 7 News. The alleged fight was first reported by the Daily Mail. The news outlet said sources claim that 2 tower employees got into an argument on Thursday, moments before the physical altercation.
Like put your dukes up kind of fight?
Physical altercation.
Oh, dude. What?
I don't know if it's related, but
what? Dude, that is wow, that's news to me.
I sent you that. You knew about that.
No, I did. You did not send me that.
Dude, catch-out brain.
I would have remembered that, dude. 100%. Yeah, I'm looking now. I don't see it.
So was that March 28th? No, it was Friday. So it wasn't the same incident.
Oh wait, you did send it to me.
I did send it to you.
I'm sorry.
It
My
was
bad.
Thursday, but the event was Friday. So they're 2 different things. They're just having a day over there.
Dude, DCA? I mean,
So I thought it was the same incident, but I was wrong. But this is the same incident. Here we go. We actually have the data on the FAA's report of what happened. It was suspected loss involving VFR aircraft in the class Bravo. So they had required 1 mile. They had 0.7 miles and 200 feet vertical, where they needed 500 feet. So they had loss of separation. Drago 61, a flight of 4 VFR T-38s was conducting a flyby of the Arlington National Cemetery coordination. Had occurred between whoever at 1841, referenced the flyover time on target at 1921. Departures stopped at 1917. 1912, they advised the CIC to stop all departures, and the hard time over target was now 1917, which was read back. DCA continued to launch departures as Drago 61 continued inbound. They called the DCA CIC at 1915 and advised again to stop all departures immediately. DCA CIC responded that an aircraft was already on departure roll. 2983 departed DCA runway 19 on runway heading, and while climbing through 1200, got a separation was lost 1 mile southeast of runway 19 threshold, northwestbound at 1,000 feet. They issued traffic to Drago 61, who reported traffic in sight. However, Class B was already lost. That could be why you see the descent from the 38s, because they go from whatever it was, 1,300 feet down to 800 feet. But they called the traffic in sight, and this is just newsworthy because obviously it's a hot button issue. Gonky, your thoughts?
well, DCA does not need more news headlines. And I mean, in the grand scheme of things, you know, as a military aviator, it's not really a near miss. But the scary thing is, they told them to stop departures at what, 1912, you said, and they allowed a departure, right? They didn't
so
adhere to
the
that.
DOT was 1921. Departures potentially stopped at 1917, but they moved it up.
Yeah, but they notified the tower, right?
Yeah, 1915 and then 1912. So they were 5 minutes early for whatever reason for stopping that.
Yeah. That to me, that's the big issue, is like they were told, hey, stop your departures. They acknowledge it, and then they let one go. And that's the safety issue, because I mean, the T-38A, is probably the most challenging airplane to do any kind of a flyby time. I imagine there was some timing involved or whatnot, but because it's all visual, there's no pilot relief modes, and there's 4 airplanes, right? It was a 4-ship.
Yes.
And when you're making it look good, tucked into formation, the flight lead, he doesn't have a whole lot of capability to maneuver quickly if he needs to. And those guys know that airspace is tight anyway, so they're doing their best to stay within the confines of whatever they need to do to be legal for that flyover. But I think there's definitely that airport, man. DCA, I don't know what they need. Maybe they need to put a cap on operations a day out of that airport until they get their, I don't know, SOPs figured out. I don't know, man. What do you think about that, man? As far as the tower,
when it first came out, I did a video on it on Saturday because it came out Friday-ish, into Saturday. So I did a video on it. And the comments have been interesting. I've learned a lot since it happened, right? Because I had not a flight aware. I forgot the thing that I used for the track, and it ended up being mostly inaccurate, although that looks very similar. So the track wasn't perfect. However, the gist is the same, right? T-38A, 60-year-old airplane, 50-something-year-old airplane. Same ones we flew, more than likely. We would fly, if they're still doing it the same way we did, we would fly with the iPad mini on your knee or up there on the glare sheet or the canopy with a suction mount, and then the Stratus Puck. And the Stratus Puck would give you ADS-B in, which would give you all the traffic and all that, the TIS, if you will. So the T-38A has a Mode S transponder because they all got installed like a year or two before we left, because that was a big mod. Remember the new transponder we all had to figure out, and people were putting goofy call signs in there.
Oh yeah.
So it's not high tech. It's not very advanced. There's no autopilot. There's no automation. There's no auto throttles. You're just whatever your trim can handle. And by trim I mean literally trim. On the stick.
Oh yeah.
So I don't see any indication that T-38s were in the wrong or did anything non-standard. It sounds like there was some coordination stuff as far as timing and the event. So a lot of people ask, or have blatantly told me, they're like, hey, military aircraft should not be training in this airspace. Well, it's a flyover, which means it was a SAF PA, so the Air Force Public Affairs approved event for a reason. Now, whether that's honoring a fallen military member with a missing man formation, there's a whole list of people who get missing man formations when they die, and that could have been part of it. I don't know what they were actually doing, but they were doing everything that they were supposed to be doing, and they called the traffic in sight. As far as the 1300 versus 800, I don't know, but they were talking to ATC. They were under positive control. They were squawking all appropriate modes and codes. The TCAS system has a problem. Every TCAS on an airliner has problems when fighter targets are coming at them. Like, it is the reason you get an RA is because it is not designed for the closure rates of 300 plus knot aircraft. At the speeds we move, the climb rates we get and stuff like that. And one of the things, the angry comments I've seen on my video is, doesn't that make you angry because they were illegally below 10,000 feet above 300 knots? And the answer to that is no, because it's not illegally below 10,000 feet above 300 knots. All fighter aircraft, Air Force and Navy, have Tech Order -1 or NATOPS waivers and for airspeed. It does not apply to us. We do not. That is not a thing for a fighter. We don't do that. And honestly, if I'm really, that's a really antiquated rule. Like, I'm not a huge fan of it. Like, technology has overcome that, and it wasn't what was causal here. The RA is a symptom, not the cause. The RA is the system working as designed, because these guys in the jet probably were not visual. the system in their aircraft worked and they responded appropriately. Delta dudes did exactly what they were supposed to do. The fighter guys were where they were supposed to be on a pre-planned route, because this didn't happen like, oh, we're just going to willy-nilly go fly over here. This was a meticulously planned route in very contentious airspace that everybody signed off on before they ever got airborne. Like, wouldn't you agree, Gonky? Like, there's no chance they were just like, hey, we got to fly over here at this time. No. There was we're going to be this point, this point, this point. This is our run-in point. We're going to fly over the DCA corridor at this time. Everybody knows, because number one, not just for aviation safety, but for security safety. They don't want random, like even T-38s. They don't, I mean, we have the same rules as everybody else in that airspace. So that was all pre-planned and coordinated. Where the breakdown happened was whoever was supposed to push the button and stop the departures, it did not happen. And so whatever's going on there is a totally different setup. But to blame the military, these knee-jerk reactions aren't helping anything. They don't solve anything.
Yeah, I don't read the comments, but I have seen.
We know.
I have seen a couple that have, people have said, what do we do in flying military airplanes in that airspace? Well, you could flip it and be like, hey, this, military training is more important. What do we do in having a busy airport like that in that kind of airspace, right? But at the end of the day, man, with proper coordination, you can have both. You're right. Somebody dropped the ball on stop and departures. That's what caused this. And then you also brought up a good point I didn't think of, man. Those T-38s were doing minimum 300 knots, maybe 350, because you have to in that airplane, especially the foreship, which would cause the TCAS to freak out a little sooner than normal. So, I mean, I don't think any, in my mind, was it? It's not so much a near miss as this was just another breakdown in the system there at DCA, right? Much like the helicopter crashing into the CRJ, the procedures they had in place aren't good, right? So maybe this is another procedure that's not good that maybe, could lead to something worse in the future that they need to fix. I don't know what the protocols are, but this isn't the first time, dude. For sure, this ain't the first time they've done a flyover at Arlington National Cemetery. You know what I'm saying? Like
6 months ago, this is not news at all.
Yeah,
like
right.
Six months ago, and even before, like 6 months ago, it may have been a VAS Aviation thing. Great product, by the way. We love what they do. It may have wound up on VAS Aviation if there had been some snark associated with the, hey, we just got an RA. What's going? Like, if there had been something memorable said in addition to that, it may have gone, like, VAS may have had a good video. 5 years ago, before all these ADS-B watchers and, live ATC watchers, it doesn't get any traction whatsoever because, I mean, dude, I've had RAs. Wasn't newsworthy. Oh, yeah. It's like, hey, now we got to write a report. Yes, loss of separation is not unserious, right? It is a bad thing. It is an important thing that we adhere to, but we are now crying wolf. I mean, everything is a and we're contributing to it, right? We're covering it right now. I mean, we're not innocent in this either. However, we wouldn't be covering it if everybody, if it weren't something that it had blown up as a big thing. But I don't think the T-38 Bubbas did anything wrong. I don't think the Delta Bubbas did anything wrong.
Nope.
Probably not even the tower controller. Like, there's probably some back end, somebody, there was not a message relayed. And then the system worked as advertised to prevent an actual mishap.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if any mistake was made, like I said, they just let that departure go a little early. But like you said, man, I mean, what was it, 0.7 miles and 200 feet? I mean, that's
4,000 feet.
Yeah. And at those speeds, the Delta jet's not going that fast, right? He's just on climb out.
Yeah. I doubt he had much of a maneuver queue. Like, the RA probably wasn't much of a, climb, I mean, okay.
Right. We're already climbing, right? It's probably already in the green. The 38s are flying level, right? Because they're doing a
Yeah, and you can see they descended. They went 13 to 1800, so they
Yeah.
probably saw it and they were like,
Yeah.
"Hey, get low, get skinny."
Yeah, I thought there weren't supposed to be any departures going on,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Military, there's, training. It's funny, man. When I was a student in the Hornet, we had like, I think one flight, maybe two, where we would do like an air nav, which was basically a cross country. And some of my friends would like, we're gonna go down to LA and San. I'm like, dude, I'm going to like
dude.
20. I'm going to like 29. I'm going to like
way away from all the things.
Yes.
Do you remember that show? Because I remember it before I started flying military. There was a Canadian Hornet show.
Yes.
And they went to LA
No,
in the Canadian Hornet, and it was like a disaster. That was like the whole show was them dealing with all the airspace and the speeds and stuff. I mean, dude, I remember going cross country to the depot, and when you hit Salt Lake Center, they'd be like, "Hey, reef 11, slow to 200 knots," and you're like, "Unable."
Yeah.
Unable. You're like, "Well, what can you do? 300 or better."
Yeah.
I can get there faster if you need me to, but I'm not slowing down to 200 knots. And what people don't understand, so let's back up to that discussion. The reason that fighters get wavered is because there's two reasons. One, the faster we go, the more over the nose visibility we have, because when you are at slow speeds, you get high angle of attack. So the jet is more like this, and you can't see what's in front of you because, you're looking around and stuff like that. That's number one. Number two, your maneuvering potential. Your best maneuvering capability, what was it? 310 knots in the
depending on what you want to do. You want to be north of 300 knots, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty common in I think probably every point nose jet.
So if they had to do the bomb burst or whatever, which is the other piece to this too, is that you're a 4-ship in probably a close route to fingertip formation. It's just like when that Thunderbird formation avoided the helicopter and that one broke out of the formation and came back. You don't have the ability to maneuver when you're 4 airplanes very close tucked in together. So you need to be able to maneuver as a single ship, but also if you did have to do that bomb burst, everybody's got enough energy to get away from each other, because if we're doing 200 knots, it's mushy and you're going to run airplanes into each other.
Yeah, they're just not designed to fly at those slow speeds, and aerodynamically, it gives you a lot of options, like you're talking about, man. Because if you're flying at 250 knots in a F-18 and you reef back on the stick, I mean, it'll pivot, it'll do the Cobra, but it'll keep going the same way it's going, So
yeah,
but yeah, man, I mean, there is value on the mill side from training in busier airspace, especially in that airspace near the nation's capital, right? So, the idea of separating military training and civilian ops, we already do a really good job of that. That's why places like Red Flag happen out in the middle of nowhere in the desert. That's why we have Fallon. That's why we have the whiskey areas out over the water. So military can do that training, but to say that they can't coexist, I think is definitely the wrong stance to take. And at the end of the day, I think the right mover. I think 6 months ago this isn't an issue, but it's it's one of those things like where there's smoke, there's fire, right? So I mean, they've kind of let some smoke out of the bag, and it's like now that the microscope's on them, it's
well, they're fighting.
They are, yeah.
They're fighting. I thought that was so I apologize because I didn't see the date. So it's the day before, though. I mean, Thursday they're fist fighting. Friday they're not I mean, maybe there's some bad blood between the two guys.
Were they shorts? Was the guy that was supposed to tell the guy, hey, don't take, was he like on administrative leave for knocking someone out? I don't know, dude.
That's the other guy, black. He didn't see the strip. He's like, does that say 12 or 5? She give it a minute. We just let him go. We'll figure it out.
He's got hey, make sure your transponder's on, Delta. You're gonna need that TCAS. Dude. Well, hey, let's they're just I'm certain, they're doing the best they can. They don't wake up every day and figure out how can we end up on the Mover and Gonky show again this week. So hopefully TCA figures it out, man, and stays squeaky clean for a while.
Yeah, just wait. They're going to be asking everybody that checks in, are you mover or Gonky? And if you say yes, you're just going to get vectored out of the airspace.
No, this is not Gonky.
It's Bubbles back.
Yeah. Oh, dang it.
Oh, jeez. Oh, man. All right. We got some super chats from Gundam Blade said, hypothetical. Who would you pick to be your best man? Ooh, that's a tough one.
Oh, you put him on the spot right there, man.
That's a tough one. Well, since Gonky says that's never happening, I guess we'll never know. Oh, man.
Funny.
Renee says, by the way, my daughter's ring costs $500,000. It's an antique and 150 years old. We aren't cheap.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
That's a nice BO-105 helicopter, though.
Oh, mover.
Just saying. And this is why Gonky is the prophecy has foretold.
I think you're gonna be single for a while.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
What
Yeah,
did he
you're
do? Well, he spent $45 on a ring and $500,000 on a helicopter.
But it came out of a plastic egg, baby.
Jet A ain't cheap. Look,
That's
dude,
true.
we're gonna do the tattoos. We're gonna do the tattoo rings. That's all we have to. It's permanent.
Yeah.
It says it right here. Permanent marker. You don't get any more committed than that.
It's what you do when you're 6 years old, mover.
No, there's people that tattoo rings, Gonky. That's
Yeah,
not
I
that's a
know.
real
I know.
thing.
Yeah, no.
And then they get divorced, and you're
Or the-
like,
Yeah, we're the real one.
Dan O'Grady says, news of the week up here is we're getting a couple Viper flybys in our CF-18 TAC demo for Armed Forces Week in June. Perks of living next to the NORAD base. Hey, we're
Cool.
buddies again. Awesome.
I thought didn't they turn off the
It's the
demo
last season.
Oh, dang. Okay. Well,
Isn't
yeah,
it
that's
the last
awesome.
Or wait, they turned off the demo team and said they were going to have limited. I don't know.
Yeah, for funding, right? To get ready for F-35. Anyways, Dan, hey, dude, the CF-18 demo is awesome. And the paint jobs are the best looking Hornets, man. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Zippers Forever says he's happily divorced, kept the dog in the house. Good for you. Esat Akar says there are so many flowers out there. Why go for only one? Because at a certain age, they stop going for you.
Yeah. The flowers start to wither at a certain
Time
age.
out. You start to time out.
Dude.
There's an expiration. When the warranty expires and you start doing your VA claims, that's when the time.
These aren't flowers, these are weeds. What's going on?
Yeah. Dandelions. Wicked Spider Black says, late but high. Here, high boy. Boys are back, all three of you. Well,
Almost.
yeah, no, Doug's here. He's just in spirit.
That's right.
Our old Two-Fitz Jets, says Skid.
Is it? Was it?
They all went to Lang. I thought they were scattered to the winds. Like I thought some went to Whiteman, some went to Beale, because I remember, but I was corrected.
It'd be cool to see what the side numbers were, man. I mean, it'd be.
They had it on one of the articles I did. I didn't recognize it. 833 or something. Ben says, is it bad when I see an incident like the latest DCA one? The first thing I think of is more exciting content for the Mover and Gonky show.
Yeah, exciting content or
irreverent
yes.
humor.
Yes, just mindless opinions.
The Islamic Steak says, sorry I'm late. I heard that we had some MiG-28s try to infiltrate DCA airspace. Alert launched the Raptors. They tried, but they were all cold iron.
That's right there. That's right. That's right.
They sent out a customs Blackhawk instead, and it couldn't keep up.
Dude,
actually, you know what? They sent out Wombat in his 319.
That's right. Wombat should have called the Fox 3-4 ship.
Jink.
That's right.
Code Monkey says, I heard unrestricted climbs of the military jets have set TCAS RAs and TAs with aircraft at high altitude. Yup.
Yeah, I did it taking off out of Lemoore.
Yep. I always do. It was the tanker. The tanker you'd always like is the closure rates and stuff. I mean,
yeah.
Michael says there was a New York Tracon controller who earned the nickname Heels and Deals because loss of separation happened so often with her. Obviously, she was QT. I wonder if that's the one that Moxie tried to get her number.
Now we have Tipper that she was actually good looking. So
good looking, but also had a nickname.
Heels and deals. What?
Yeah, because of loss of separation. So, oh God, we're gonna get sued. Newman says, "Send Gonky Wick to clean up DCA." Do you know what that means, Gonky?
I've seen a little bit.
God, that's what married life gets you.
Oh, dude, yeah, I don't have time to watch a lot.
All right, I don't have this one. So, Doug,
what are we doing?
Doug, you might want to make your screen full screen so that we don't dox you.
I'm on an alternate account.
Oh,
but okay, thank you.
Oh, this is it. The flyby failed, man. Make it large, so to speak.
That's as big as it gets.
Big as it gets,
so to speak.
Do
we have volume?
Do we need it? I mean,
yeah, you're right.
I don't think it matters. I've got the lead on the front.
Who is team leader?
It's like, you know what?
The song just keeps.
It's the missing flight lead formation.
Dude,
look at that one more time.
He's over there. He's right there.
Where'd who go? How did you get a finger pointer? Oh, dude, and they're early.
Oh, yeah.
That's what happened. That's exactly what happened. They were so early, they pulled it back and forth like, I got to get on board. Nope, I don't have. Nope.
Dude.
Nope. I can't do a barrel roll because you remember that happened. We're going to watch it one more time. One more time.
This down right here.
One more time.
Can I set this down?
What?
Who's talking?
What was that?
Now
it's the next video started.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sure.
Oh, dude.
Look at two going. You know what? I don't want to be a part of this formation anymore. Even two's getting mine.
As Wombat would say, clearly this was a GPS denied environment.
Dude, it was
dude.
That's why Thomas Cruise did not choose that in Top Gun Maverick, because they wouldn't have been able to fly four of them like that together.
Yes, I mean, yeah, I don't even know what to say, man. Everything
look
about
good,
that.
sound good, be on time. That's the 3 rules to breaking even for a flyover.
Okay,
they did
at 0.
They didn't even sound good.
No, dude. Where was that?
It looked like a little league game. Didn't even look like a real, like just some random 8th graders baseball game.
And I hate, like we always say, and it's true, I'm totally capable of making a mistake like that.
Yeah, but you're retiring now, so it's easier. This is what OFPs do.
But I can say I've done many of those, and I have never made those. Like, there was a lot of mistakes, dude. They weren't in formation. Like you said, they didn't look good. They didn't sound good. They weren't on time. Like,
so realistically, what happened was 4 had a monster overtake and didn't know what to do with it. Probably a young wingman. And they don't really teach formation anymore in pilot training because they only get wings in 4 weeks or whatever it is
among
now.
other things.
Yeah. So monster overtake, doesn't know what to do with it, doesn't want to do the barrel roll like at Fenway. Remember that? The Red
Should have
Sox?
done it.
Dude, that guy, he did it. It worked. He got grounded for a long time. Buddy of mine was in the TX course when he got his wings back. He was in the TX course with him. That being said, that's what happens. It looked like they were early, so they were probably throttling back, which is why you don't hear the engines all that much, which means that, you know, flybys, man. Best you can do is break even.
Yeah, I mean, you can blame it on 4, but I mean, why was lead so early? I mean, how maybe the coordination was bad on the ground. It's hard. It's just hard for me to believe that. And these are F-35s, right? It's hard for me to believe that jet, with all the tech it has, with 4 qualified fighter pilots flying.
I don't think that the tech matters because, you know, dude, it boils
helped.
down to it. Like every flyover I've ever done is always the same. How long does it take the singer? What time does the singer start? And how far is my run in from the whole point to the flyover? And so if you start on time-ish, like if you start on time and you have a good ground fac like Skid, who's in our audience tonight,
Yes.
then you can make up plus or minus. And sometimes that doesn't go well. Sometimes, things just get messed up. But
Dude, yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
no,
You, you say tech doesn't matter, but I argue it does matter because when we did, when we did them in the 38, it was way harder because number one, there's no tech helping you fly the airplane. So the airplane's a handful just to keep it going straight, right? Secondly, there's no queuing system or built-in navigation moving map system that also is up in your HUD. You know what I'm saying? Like you in the 38, those guys have to look out and okay, which stadium is it? Or which, where's the ball field at, right?
Oh, yeah, they got that helmet that they can see through their crotch.
That's what I'm saying.
They could see how early they were. It
Yes.
probably had some kind of mind reading technology too.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I'm surprised Hal didn't say, "Hey, you guys are early, and 4 is going to be out of position. Fix this. Let me tell you how." Would you like me to take
fighter
control?
pilots that allowed this to happen? Nobody said, "Hey,
Yeah,
1-4, I got a question.
yeah.
Can I have the lead?"
Well, and I just, yeah, I don't know, man. I think probably the most obvious thing that happened was there was obviously a major breakdown in the timing, and like you said, they couldn't go any slower. But that, yeah, I don't know. At that point, I would, as the lead, I would have looked at it. I would have just sped up so we could have maintained a formation and look good, right? You at least hit one of them. I mean,
4, go into the diamond, quick.
I would have been okay. Starburst, everybody.
Yeah, it's the missing 4 formation.
Yeah, I'm sure all 4 of those guys are like
Doug,
way
is
better.
that Fenway? Is that what you have up?
Yeah, let me get it back. Hang on.
It says it's
I'm,
up.
I'm sure those guys, all 4 of them or gals, are way better pilots than I.
Don't
I
you
ever
gals
was,
this. We're not getting canceled again this week. There it is. Play. Yeah.
Oh,
See, if you're gonna do it cool. Make it worth it.
Greatest flight, dude. Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and then it worked. He ended up in position.
Well, dude, it's a lag maneuver, right? I mean,
no, wait. Oh, how many did he do?
There's multiple angles.
Oh, okay.
flag maneuver, man.
Yeah. Well,
they don't teach that. They don't teach that anymore.
I know specifically. It's been a while since I did UPT, but they specifically teach you not to fly in front of the formation.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not supposed to fly in front of your lead.
ABC, right? Altitude bearing closure, right? Or,
I don't know.
yeah,
That
airspeed
sounds
bearing
Navy.
closure. Yeah, whatever.
All right, horse is dead.
Yeah, sorry.
Super chats while we prepare for the Mitter and France. Speaking of formations. Yeah. Oh,
sorry.
Doug went self-aware on me.
I pushed one too many buttons.
Dan says, yeah, sadly, no more demo jet, but they have limited tactical demos throughout the year. I'm assuming it's just a couple turn and burns.
Oh, okay. So not the full up show. Well, that is sad, man. Because Canada knows how to paint a jet.
Renee says 400 knots. They could have been snot-nosed jockeys and buzzed the tower. Hell yeah. Andre says, greetings from Brazil. Hope you're a completely recovered mover. Here in Brazil, close to the landing and departure ramps, nothing is allowed close to commercial routes. I am not recovered. I have to go now get a second opinion. Yeah, didn't go well last week. Steven says, I saw 2 F-18 pairs take off today on another stream. How common is that in the military? Rare to see even pairs take off here in the UK.
All the time.
Well, is he saying like a 4-ship that they took off in formation? Because that's kind of rare these days.
So 2 F-18 pairs.
So 2 pairs, 4 aircraft, 2 formation takeoffs. That's probably rare.
That is rare. Typically, if you're going to launch all 4 and in a flight, you would do single file through, right? But then 2 separate 2 ships, you would have them separately on the runway. So yeah, I've done that before.
Yeah,
you
the
put
T-38's the only place I've ever done 2 like dueling
2 plus
formation
2.
2 plus 2 formation takeoffs. The only place I've ever done it. Like in the Viper, we just did radar trail.
Yeah.
you know, or same with the Hornet. I don't think I ever even did a formation takeoff. Did I ever do a formation takeoff in the Hornet? Probably not. There's
I'm
never
sure you
even
did.
any reason to.
Yeah. Yeah. They probably did that for, you know, to try to expedite their departure.
Yeah. Wicked Spider Black says it's a bearded Monday.
Last one for me for a while, probably.
Doug, is that a news thing you're doing? We might have to find a different source. Hold on. We probably
I
should
can
use that.
Yeah. Well,
just
I mean,
fast forward. Just fast forward
Can you
to
skip
the.
it to the actual part, because otherwise we're gonna
that's
need
like-
it.
There it is. Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
All right, so
Let me
there was a
see if I can-
midair in France. We will take a look at that now. Oh, not the blonde lady.
I'm trying to get her before it
Perfect.
starts going bad.
Mid-air during a rehearsal in Saint-Dizier. The three
Oh,
people
wow.
on board.
But everybody is safe, right? Everybody jumped out.
Martin Baker.
She said 3 people on board.
Yeah, they were in Alpha Jets, so there must have been one of them must have been dueled up.
Play that one more time, Doug. Back to the. Yeah, there's not really good footage of it. That's why I never talked about it on my channel.
Well, yeah, if you put it back to the beginning, I don't know if this video has it, but I've watched it several times. It appears that like the one jet just ran into the back of the other, but like you said, like right here, oh, nice. Look at that. So it appears like he just kind of runs into the back of him and
Here, I got another angle. Let's take a look at this.
really?
That lady
I
sounds funny
looked.
in half speed.
Is this one? Yeah, just clip wings.
Yeah. What are they doing there? Are they kind of doing like a starburst?
No, it looks like they're part of a loop or a Cuban 8 or something, and then the
Right.
two break off. I guess they're making a. Yeah. Good shoots, though.
Wow. Yeah.
Gonky, you've done air show stuff. What do you think, man?
I don't know, man. I've never done that many airplanes. If we had Mace on, we could ask her. I don't know. Just by the footage, it looks like you said, they got a little too close on the backside of that loop. I don't know. Actually, this is the first time I've heard there was 3. So
In the airplane, you mean? Yeah, 3 in the
yeah,
jet.
like 2 in 1 jet kind of thing. So maybe there was some sort of distraction going on. I don't know. But yeah, you know, these things happen, right? I mean, the Blue Angels have had mid-airs, the Thunderbirds have had mid-airs. If you're in the close formation air show flying business, probably, you know, unfortunately, mid-airs happen.
Well, at this point, it's just fortunate that no one on the ground was hurt.
Yeah.
No one in the air was hurt or killed.
Exactly.
You know, it's always high risk. Were they in training? Were 2 in the airplane because one, or was it just an observation flight?
I don't know.
They had a FAM
know.
rider. Okay. So they had a FAM rider. Obviously there will be an investigation into the cause. I don't think those jets have, they have like a DVR HUD tape or something. Like
I don't know. I was watching
trainer?
some video of that team. Airplane's pretty nice, but it didn't show a whole lot of as far as the instrumentation. But I mean, it's the Alpha Jet. I think they've been using it for a while.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's I mean, even you know, the French use aerial demonstrations just like we do, right, to drum up support for their country and you know, to get people to join the armed forces and to be, you know, national pride. So
well, and when you're flying that close, I mean, any little burble, you know, if they'd had some kind of, you know, wake turbulence issue, just turbulence, just any kind of upset when you're that close together and you're not ready for it, and they're professional. So,
Yep.
but we don't know what experience they had on the team. Were they, because as we've seen, right, the Thunderbirds and the flyover they did at Daytona, new team members kind of making stuff happen and didn't do the best job, and then they went to Las Vegas and they shacked it. There is some learning curve when you're new to a team that perhaps, but I don't know the experience of these two guys.
And I mean, heck, there could have been some sort of flight control problem on the backside of that loop that kept them from being able to control the airplane properly. So, I mean, like you said,
interference from the FAM rider. I mean, the French had the guy eject, with a negative G. So, I mean, FAM riders can sometimes, like a knee bump or, something. I don't know if they have controls rigged in the back or not.
Yeah. So, hey, like you said, man, good. Nice. Nobody.
Glad everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Scary. For sure. All right. So this next article is probably going to be controversial. I've got it, Doug.
No, it's
going to be super controversial.
You only called it though, but no.
Yeah.
Mover was right.
So the UK will buy the F-35 despite fears about Trump. And this is what's interesting, is that they're buying it over the Typhoon. So the Britain will push ahead with a multi-billion-pound deal to buy U.S. fighters in defiance of European warnings. They talked about a kill switch that we've talked about doesn't exist and U.S. has denied existence of. Fears exasperated when Trump said he would tone down the F-47 about 10% because someday maybe they're not our allies. The union has urged the government to buy 2 squadrons of Typhoon, which is manufactured there, rather than F-35As. And that's the other piece to this we're going to talk about. They're A's, which the B was kind of the thing with our export partners, because they were part of the reason we even have the B. But Britain is short of fighters. They're retiring 49 Tranche 1 Eurofighter Typhoon. 17 have been scrapped already. They have received 37 B models and from an initial order of 48 planes, but now they're considering buying the A model, which is considered superior to the Typhoon. And they have a Tempest, right? Aren't they making a Tempest?
In the works.
It's a 6th gen, though. It's not. Is it considered 5th or 6th? But Gonky, I wanted to talk about this because, I mean, the politics aside, we have talked to some of our European friends, and one of the things, they fly Typhoons, and we asked that question, right? We're like, hey, what do you guys think about not buying the F-35? And the response was, we can't, because we have not produced anything that can replace it. Because they're in the 5th gen market, there is nothing comparable. Everybody has put all their eggs in this basket, and the F-35 was kind of a joint production, right? The A model, Air Force, the B model, the Marines, the C model, the Navy, and that B model, part of the reason it has VTOL, Marines and foreign Air Force or navies or foreign carriers that wanted to have vertical takeoff and landing, like the Brits, some of the other, who else had it besides the Brits? Because the Brits were like a huge partner in the having VTOL version.
Yeah, for the B model
carriers. Yeah,
I think it's just the Brits, isn't it?
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they might have been a big part of that, but it's interesting that they're now using A models, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know that they had a choice strategically and tactically, but to continue buying these things, because the Eurofighter is a great jet, but it's not 5th gen.
Well, I mean, I'm a 4th gen guy, right? So take this all with a grain of salt. But if you want to be in the fifth gen game, there's only one airplane. And if you're not America, right? And you want to buy a Western jet, there's only one toy you can buy, F-35. So it's either that or nothing. And you talk about Mover, it's interesting to look at the A model. If you remember, the Marines readjusted
to get A models. You're right. Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. They're like, this vertical thing is kind of a crazy idea. So we want more of the traditional.
That's a good point. Yeah.
traditional jet, and maybe that's the British are looking at that as well. But if I was a Brit Air Force pilot or a Navy pilot or citizen, I think having both Typhoon, which is a very capable airplane, obviously, and the F-35 it's good to have in the inventory, And the one thing I do want to talk about really quick is, in there Trump says, hey, we're gonna for the F-47, we're gonna 10% toned down version. There's nothing new with that, right? I mean, there's export versions of every fighter out there, right? The Russians, I mean, the MKM is the export version of Malaysia. MKI is the export version of the flanker to India, right? I mean, and it really depends on what a country wants to pay for, right? So, I mean, the idea that this is, oh my gosh, this is some crazy new thing is it's crazy.
Headline.
It's a headline. It's just, clickbait. So, if I don't think do I think England absolutely needs 5th gen? Personally, no. I mean,
well,
that's a whole other discussion.
Yes, yeah, they do.
Well, I mean,
because they're NATO and they're going to be there day one of the war, just like we are. I mean, we don't do day one of the war by ourselves.
That's right. But I mean, there's other weapons involved in day one. And if you look at kind of what the Navy did before F-35 came around, right? Because that thing was like a decade late. So the Air Force had the Raptor for a long time. Their Air Force has been playing 5th gen game for a while. Well, when you kind of introduce, Growler and Super Hornet stuff, I'm not saying you can have the same capabilities, but you can, with that combo and good tactics, you can do some really good work against some pretty heavy air defenses.
Right. But when you're future proofing your military, right?
Right.
Like if you're like, hey, I need to buy these planes for the next decade and a half or whatever, you don't buy the 4th gen that's already kind of, long in the tooth. You buy the latest and greatest because they've got all these mods and upgrades and stuff. I mean,
no, I agree. I agree with you, dude. No, they should buy the airplane, and they've had, it's not like the UK didn't have a say or involvement in developing the airplane, right? So I think they should buy it because they invested in it, and I think that it would help. It's going to help them develop the Tempest, right? Hopefully that comes to fruition.
Yeah, I was just reading about the Tempest. It is 6th gen,
right.
And it's scheduled to enter service in 2035. The initial phase of the project up to 2025. It's with Leonardo, BAE Systems, Rolls-Royce, Ministry of Defense. So it's very, very early.
It is. And if you notice in that article, man, I mean, words mean things, right? So they said, yeah, the F-35 is a superior fighter bomber than the Typhoon, which I'm 100%. But, is it a better interceptor? I don't know. I don't think it's as fast, right? I mean, so there's different roles for different airplanes.
Much better sensor suite.
Yeah, I know. I'm not talking. I'm talking like once things get more traditional, right? So you can. Yeah. I think they need F-35, but there is a place for for the Typhoon as well in their inventory, and especially if it comes to, like you said, being a part of NATO and doing their part. But you called it. I mean, you talked about it, dude, last week. These countries that were beating their chest like we're not going to buy the F-35. Well, it's the only game in town, and like right. it was kind of designed that way, right? The Joint Strike Fighter, all these different countries and services came together.
It's the reason it is the way it is because we were we built ourselves into a corner.
Exactly. 100%, man. So it's not surprising, really, but the surprising piece is the shift from VTOL. Well, for us, it's not surprising, but as far as switching from the buying more conventional F-35s than the vertical takeoff one.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that Germany is going to do the same thing. Like, I think, any country that has already a big buy, they might reduce it, but that,
Yeah.
like, I don't know, like they might reduce it out of spite because they're very angry, but will that affect anything? It just affects their own readiness, their own ability to, because you need airplanes, and if the money's already spent.
Yeah. I mean, dude, if you want, like I said, if you're not the United States of America or Russia or China, and then you want a 5th gen airplane, I mean, the list is short.
Maybe they do. Maybe they go buy the J-20.
They could. Yeah. 100%, man. But I mean,
that's the dissolution of NATO at that point. Like NATO, you start talking red countries, the J's and the Su's,
right.
Look at what happened with Turkey, right? The whole thing with Turkey was if you can,
right. You buy the S-400.
Yeah. That was hey, get rid of that and we'll get you the F-35, which we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, and you look at, dude, the odds of that happening are extremely low. I mean,
yeah,
like F-35 is going to happen. And, there's nothing, dude, there's nothing else, right? I mean, everybody put their eggs in the F-35 basket. So, I mean, this is what you got to buy if you want that capability.
Well, and even the Tempest, that should be incentive to not be on a 10-year timeline.
Yeah.
Holy crap. It's 2025. Get that thing rolling,
Yeah.
You want to fix the problem? Be like South Korea.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
Yeah, dude, I know.
They are like booking it with their stuff. It's not 6th gen, but they can, look at, I guess they could buy that. That's another option that keeps you kind of neutral.
Well, riddle me this, is the Tempest going to be just UK or is this an EU thing?
Well, they have partners. It says that they have also had memorandum of understanding. UK and Japan announced they're working together, joint development of the engine and radar demonstrators. The Global Combat Air Program collaboration between Italy, Japan, and UK for a 6th gen fighter. And then there are initial conversations with Saudi Arabia.
I remember talking with the Typhoon guys there in Butterworth, and they told me that the Typhoon definitely the timeline to get that airplane operational was really hampered by the fact that so many different European countries,
too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah, and they're like, when you're talking a fighter plane like that, dude, just like a half a millimeter off, and it's like this doesn't work, right? So, they had a lot of issues. Obviously, probably ironed out mostly now. But if you're building a completely new airplane, it took them a while to get the Typhoon from drawing board to flying because of some of those issues. But hopefully they learned from that, and that's why I asked if it was just going to be primarily a UK design. But
well, we'll see what the fallout is from that. Let's see what else. Oz Dead Meat says, did you guys see the footage of the Avalon air show crash over the weekend? Also, when is Gonky getting rid of the sideburns? Is that so we just talked about that. Right? Well, that's the same air show crash we just covered.
I think so.
Was it an Avalon?
Is that
Avalon air show crash? Yeah.
Yes.
Oh wait, no. Was
there another one?
That's the S2.
What?
Yeah, an S2 crashed.
What? Where's Avalon? My geography.
Paul Bennett, critical but stable after Avalon crash. Pitts S1.
Huh? Really?
Yeah.
No, dude. I
Do you want to see it? We'll look at it.
Why not, dude?
Well, Doug reads the private chat because he's got the article that we can't use. I think Doug might have left. He's
Doug, you there?
No, I'm here. I was looking up to the Avalon Air Show.
I got it. It's just you got to change your link on the next one.
Okay.
Here you go. So this is the Avalon crash. Is there audio? We can hear you clicking.
A lot of Steve Wolf componentry
Oh.
Oh, dude.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
no.
He survived.
Wow.
Yeah. Looks like the
Wow.
standard
Yeah.
starting it too low, or altimeter, or just not enough maneuver potential here. Ah, that sucks.
Yeah, that stinks, man. That reminds me of Jeff Koos. You know, basically starting to split S with not enough altitude, and doesn't matter if you're in what was that, an S2 you said?
S1.
S1 or a F18, man. If
Or
you
an
don't have-
F16 mountain
Yeah,
home.
yeah.
You know, where the
Thunderbird.
altimeter and Thunderbird, they had it wasn't the altimeter, it was the top. They had corrected the altitudes for where they were, and he was off.
Yeah.
Or I guess they zeroed the altimeter. Maybe that's what it was.
Normal, don't they normally Mace
Or
told
that
us
was
this, didn't
maybe
she?
that was before they zeroed them out. Maybe Mace told us since then they've started zero. I don't remember, but yeah, it's
that stinks,
awful,
man.
Awful. It's bad starting altitude, not enough energy at the bottom to dish it out.
Yeah, well, hopefully, man. I mean, he's in critical condition. At least that's what it says, and hopefully he makes a recovery. That's wild that, like you say, he survived, because that was a hard hit.
Yeah, he's gonna be in
Yeah.
recovery for a while. Greg says, "Are you all familiar with Rebel, the current F-16 demo pilot? That girl is badass." Yeah, that's what we're trying to go for here. This is not that
I
kind
just
of
read
channel.
the teleprompter. I just read.
I'm so glad I stopped before.
Dude.
I'm so glad I stopped before I read that verbatim.
Oh, dude.
Would love to see you all review her show. I'm sure she's awesome.
The comments would have been.
No, I know.
Oh, dude.
Yeah,
you are getting married.
yeah. You are in love, mover. Sky Forslund says, "Is it true that they ground you after 2 ejection?" I mean, that's the urban legend. We knew a guy that ejected twice.
Do we? You do. I mean, you do get shorter. I mean, some people get shorter.
How many times did Maverick eject?
He's never landed an airplane in his life, dude. that wasn't on fire.
That was a
broken.
documentary. Of course you. I mean, it's that Ikar says, "My country loved to buy F-35, but if I was the boss, I go for F-15EX or more Block 70. Sorry, just don't like F-35. She's ugly, not elegant like F-16 or F-15."
See, man,
hard to disagree with that logic.
I'm superficial, just like him, dude. It's got to look right, you know. Wasn't that a thing? If it doesn't look right, it ain't right. I don't know.
Colin says, "Canada will follow the UK after our election. Insufficient numbers here to operate a mixed fleet. Too far into new infrastructure for F-35. Hornets are just too old to hold out any longer to pivot." That's exactly right. You know, when you've got initial cadre, if you're transitioning to it, or if you've already got pipeline, training set up, and you've already spent the money, it doesn't really matter how mad you are on a political scale, because it's like you don't have any other choice.
Canada, though, like the Marines, in my opinion, screwed up. They should have bought Super Hornet 15 years ago as a gap, as a, kind of like the Navy did. Because that airplane, 2 engines, great for that environment.
Why
dude.
can't Canada buy the EX? Why do they even need a Hornet?
Exactly. Well, I say the Super Hornet because they already had the Hornet. It's a cheap transition, right?
Yeah,
It's,
but okay, why didn't they buy like the SA? Like why did
what? That didn't exist in like 1980.
well when they were starting to get long in the tooth, though.
Oh yeah. Well, dude, just like the Marines, F-35 is gonna be here.
Oh,
F-35 is gonna be here, boys.
We trusted you.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Joke's
why
on you.
That's why Marine TAC Air is the way it is, man. Is they put all their eggs in the F-35, and the eggs didn't show up on time.
Yeah, egg prices are going down though.
Yeah, I saw that, and I like eggs.
We have a short article, Gonky.
Very short, yes.
So they were supposed to announce. Can you scroll up a little bit, Doug? You don't have the title in the
I heard they're going to call it the FA-45 for reasons I will not mention on this show.
Boeing could build the FAXX 6th gen fighter, published one day ago by Reuben Johnson. They still haven't officially announced. We were all sitting there waiting on Friday. I planned my whole day around it because I was going to make a video about it.
I kept refreshing.
And then they didn't do it.
Fresh,
And I think they just turned the lights off, went home, forgot to send the email. But, you know, Lockmart, who we talked about, is out of the competition, leaving Northrop Grumman, who is doing the B-21, and Boeing, who just won the F-47, which I found out 1947 is when the Air Force. So that's what the 47's for.
Was it?
Yeah, somebody go get Casmo off the ledge and let him know that it's because of the anniversary of the Air Force and not.
I like
any,
wombats. I like wombats.
Yeah, not referencing anything else.
That's why the Navy was going to be the FA-45.
Look at that thing. That's straight from the movie Stealth, and there's a two-seater which looks like a Tomcat.
Yeah. Yeah,
so the Navy seeks a highly capable stealth jet, avoiding joint procurement issues experienced with the F-35. But they might use Lockmart as a subcontractor.
Yeah.
See, I saw a thing that said that the Northrop might be the winner. This is
Northrop is Grumman. Northrop Grumman.
Yeah, this is Boeing the winner of the FAXX though.
Well, they're in the running,
right? But people are trying to predict now, saying that Boeing might be the winner.
Yeah, I read an article outlining why.
That's what I'm saying.
Grumman might. I mean,
so let's flip a coin. You can't do that because you need 50 coins and then 50 more coins, heads or tails.
Yeah,
nobody's going to get that reference, by the way.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, all we've learned is that we've learned nothing.
Yeah, and you know, as far as Lockheed I mean, for sure, whoever wins this, I mean, all your aerospace companies are going to be building parts of it, man. That's kind of, it's, you know, I'm pretty sure Boeing builds some parts of the F-35, don't they?
Probably not.
I'm pretty sure they do. I thought I saw
doors.
The doors. Yeah, dude. Yeah. They make the helmet.
They make the MCAS.
Yes, yeah.
No missile can track it when it goes into MCAS. Yeah, dude, I tell you, I've asked this before, right? And we had 4 people on last time, so it was kind of hard to get that top point across. If Boeing wins, you're doing Boeing. The question I then have is Boeing going to clean sheet design 2 aircraft, or is it going to be an F-35 redux or the F4 even, where you have it basically they just changed the gear. It's the same internal structures, plug and play. Or are you going to have Boeing with Northrop Grumman, who is doing a B-21, which has no carryover whatsoever? So Northrop is now the prime on the B-21 and the prime on the FAXX. I don't know.
Yeah, there's pros and cons, you know, to both of that. You know, when you're going, I think it's not really it would be relatively easy to take a good design for the Air Force and make it Navy capable, especially if we don't have to deal with the Marines and their vertical takeoff nonsense.
Well, that's a good point. If the B did not exist, would the A and C be sufficient?
It'd be a way better airplane.
The F-35.
It'd be a way better airplane, dude. It'd be more of an airplane, right? As an airplane should be. It'd be more of a fighter as a fighter should be. You know, the F4 is a great example. It was for its time, it was a great airplane, cutting edge. And they're like, hey, the Navy, you want this thing? We'll just beef up the gear, whatever, put a hook on it. Or actually, I think what they did is they just built a Navy version. The Air Force is like, this is a good airplane, right? And they started using it, right? So I don't think that's as nearly from an engineering standpoint as tough.
But you're right, because the YF-17 was an Air Force. I mean, it started its life as an Air Force lightweight fighter program. You know, I mean, so that's valid.
Yep. And they modified it
At this point in testing, yeah, that's pretty valid.
Yeah. So I don't think, we joke about Boeing, but I mean, I love Boeing. It's sad for me to see.
Well, this is a different side of Boeing, thankfully, right? This
It
is
is
the
the mill
fighter side.
Yeah. They are different companies. Like, no kidding.
So here's my question. There's mill side, there's civilian side, basically two different companies. But within the mill side, is there another distinction? Because as we've seen, the F-15EX, shit hot. The Block 3 Super Hornet, awesome. T-7, no.
Yeah.
MH-139, getting there. P-8, okay, they're doing pretty well. In fact, it does better than its civilian counterpart.
KC-46?
KC-46, no. So where is that demarcation line between we'll see it on time, on budget, or you might as well, just keep flying your Block 30 F-16s for the next 20 years, because good luck with your F-47.
Well, whoever wins is going to have to, it's like the Navy alluded to there, right? They don't want F-35 shenanigans again, basically, right? Everybody knows, right?
Which
Everybody
is why
knows.
they pulled out of the NGAD. Like at first, the NGAD was like, hey, we might do this both thing. And then it turned out to be nothing.
Right. So the Navy doesn't want that boondoggle again. So whoever wins this thing is going to have to prove to them that, hey, listen, we're not going to do business the old way. We're going to do it this way to get your product out, on time, on budget, because that's what's being demanded of them, especially now more than ever, right? Which is a good thing. They should, right? You don't want to, these big aerospace companies, you don't want to sell like a jobs program to the taxpayer, man. You want, they're paying for, the best design that you can come up with in the most efficient manner that you can do it, right? So you got to deliver, man. The spigot of money, it is finite. So but yeah, as far as who's going to get the contract, man, I don't know.
Why do you think it delayed? Is that a sign of things to come?
What delayed? The announcement?
The announcement. Well, I don't know this. I saw it in the X sphere, right? All the social media. Was it ever official that it was supposed to be last week or just rumored? Is it late? Like, does the wizard always arrive whenever it means to? Or, was it, hey, we're going to do this by Friday and then it didn't? And if not, why? Or was it never Friday and that was just what the media picked up on?
Good question, dude. Anybody's guess. But I
expected it today. If not, like if it was like Friday, I probably not.
I thought it was going to be Friday too, man, honestly, or last Friday. I thought it was going to be last Friday as well. But I don't know. I think we're going to know. We're definitely going to know sooner than later. And then, it'll be interesting, man. We'll be very old men probably when that thing's flying.
Rip Dog. He'll be flying.
Maybe. We'll see.
Code Monkey says, if NGC wins, I hope, or Northrop Grumman Corp, I hope they name it the Ghost Cat.
Yeah. It's funny, man. I asked, we had a Tomcat guy in my squadron. Great dude. We gave him a lot of crap. And we asked him earlier, what do you think? What do you think killed the Tomcat? He's like, Grumman. That's the way they did business with the government. And then he said, man, finally the government is tired of dealing with Grumman's BS, because his words exactly was like, if you don't get us to build your airplanes for the carrier, who else is going to do it? Because Grumman made like almost Vought made
so now it's going to be Boeing making all the jets.
Well, right. You're right. Yeah. So don't screw it up if that's the case, right?
Yeah. Anybody could be fired. That's me how I know.
Yeah, you are replaceable.
Subarexta. Add one to each digit. J36, F47, J58, F69.
Okay.
Radfish says, if there weren't nudes of me online, I'd run for POTUS and hire you two to straighten out our fighter procurement problem.
Hey, listen, if you got a successful OnlyFans thing going, dude, good on you.
Let us know in the comments how we too can profit. Mover needs a helicopter.
Mover saving for a wedding ring.
A helicopter. Mover saving for a helicopter.
Dude.
Ethor says, everyone rags on the 35. Be glad we didn't get the X32. That thing is beyond ugly. I get to see it next week. Right, Pat?
Yeah. Oh, dude, that can you imagine? UK would have been like, no, UK, we don't want that airplane. It's like,
right.
Yeah, no.
Tim Davies would have a field day.
Oh man,
yeah. AA Ron Z, whichever government contractor spent the most money to finance campaigns and hire the right people, including the subcontractors, will win the contract. Note, this is the opinion of this fellow. We are not suicidal.
You read it, dude. This
must ain't the news or nothing. For legal reasons, this is a joke. Views are our own and do not.
Yeah, I
am not suicidal. I am not suicidal.
Yeah, we just want the best for our.
All right, Gonky, this is all you.
Doug, you got it. Bring it up, man.
I don't speak.
It's a short one, sort of.
Seaman.
U.S. Navy next jet trainer won't need to land on carriers. So we talked about that, but there's a new stipulation. So they released a new request for information for the T-45's replacement, which will only be required to conduct FCLP, so field carrier landing practice, to a wave off, and that is as of today, right? 30.
Go arounds are free.
Yeah, not in the Navy, man. So that's the big news. Is they we already knew that the next Navy trainer wouldn't need to be carrier suitable, but now they're saying, hey, all we needed to do is get to the wave off window. We're going to wave it off, and it talks a little bit in here about the next jet that they pick will be. The reason why they can do the wave off thing is because the simulators and the ground trainers and all that nonsense will fill the void, which is garbage. The T-45 syllabus actually that I was in they actually called the T-45 TS the total syllabus, which was the same thing. They had simulators and whatnot as part of the package. So yeah, what does that say? Do the advancements in operational platform landing modes and ground-based simulation. And that's the other thing, Magic Carpet, systems that they use to help aviators get aboard ships now make it a lot easier than when I was doing it way back when. So apparently the amount of practice isn't required. So the T-45, we didn't talk about it, but it is also getting longer too. It's a significantly younger airframe than the 38, but I know just a couple of weeks ago they had another engine problem and they all got grounded. Deep Intel says they're just flying one around to keep guys current, but March 11th is when that happened. But they're Navy jets, they take a lot of beating, right? So I think they probably wore out a little faster, but a replacement is needed. Who knows what it's going to be? And to me, man, the whole idea of no, just bring it to a wave off and that's good enough. I think that's really, really piss poor. And the reason is as a ball flyer, so to speak, as a ball flyer, the end game is usually where you make or break yourself. So my very first trap ever in the T-45 on the Lincoln, I do my thing, overhead the ship, come around, never seen an aircraft carrier before from the air like that. Roll out behind the ship and I'm doing my thing. And I it's coming easy to me. And I get in close and I'll try to describe it, I guess. But, when you're behind the ship, there's really nothing in your peripheral to give you any sense of motion or closure. And then once you get close to the ship, and especially as they're coming down the round down, everything starts coming past you, you have a tendency to stop flying. So I was on and I got in close and I just was like, wow, I can't believe, right? And I stopped flying and I just crashed into the ace. And I remember my LSO at the time, Yoda, he was a Tomcat guy, great dude. He in my debrief, he's like, I had literally wrote the O for okay pass. He's like, I can't believe I got to give this kid his very first pass ever the ship, an okay pass. I had written the O, and then you crashed into the ace. He's like, no grade, one wire. And that was a common theme that I quickly learned flying around ships is it's actually quite easy to keep the airplane on and on from the start to in close. It's in close where things get hairy because that's, you don't want to be too low and you don't want to bolter, right? So I think there's going to be a tremendous amount of training lost there. The simulators are garbage, especially for ball flying, because we talked a little bit about how aircraft feel is a big thing when you're trying to come aboard the ship because you can feel the energy of the airplane. You might be on and on glide slope. You pull the throttle back too much. You can feel the airplane lose the energy before it actually dips below glide slope or slows down. So I think it's a bad idea, but what do I know? I'm just an old guy that maybe is hanging on too tight to the old stuff, but I don't know, Mover. What do you think? I know landing on ships is stupid, but continue.
I have a questions.
Yeah.
So they're not even going to do FCLPs, right? The whole point is the gear.
They'll get them to a wave off.
Right, but they're never going to hit the ground. Right. Because I did FCLPs. I did them at 204 when they were doing their workups. I did, that full week or whatever, 2 weeks we did a lot of carrier landings at the field. That's the extent of my experience. But I do remember the first time the IP took the jet from the back seat and showed me one, how jarring that is because an airplane that lands like that. So if you can't ever land like that, because that's the other part, right? You come back to the field, you always practice a couple, right? That was always, get a couple or whatever, get a couple reps. If all you can do is a flared landing, because that's what it sounds like. It sounds like the landing gear, they're not spending the money on the complicated so they can get something like the T7 or something that some other provider has that's plug and play because they need something right now today. So you're never going to get that teeth jarring impact that shocks the hell out of you, because it did me. The first time I'm like, dude, is this thing flyable? Like, am I alive? Because it's jarring. So that's the first part. I agree with you about in close stuff, especially at the boat, right? So if now they're not going to practice at the boat, so their first trap is going to be Fat Amy or the Block 3 Super Hornet or whatever block is. It's flying it for you. So they won't know when it's not right. Yeah. And that's a thing is, we just talked about last week about the Airbus pilots that couldn't do a visual approach, because when you are a pilot, you have this bucket of skills, right? And you're trying to fill it up with as much as possible so that when something doesn't go the way you thought it was supposed to go, you can reach back into that bucket of skills and go, no, I've seen this. And it might not be the same airplane, but I'll click everything off and fly it like an airplane. Now, from everybody who's argued this to me, and I don't really argue back because this is not my wheelhouse, but everybody who I've seen argue is that for the F-35 to get to a point where the automation doesn't do it perfectly, you're in an emergency situation and you're jumping out. That's the argument. It's like there is no degradation. And I'm like, okay, but I did a mishap report of an F-35C where the guy didn't know what mode he was in. And that's why he had a viral video, thankfully surviving, but it was a viral video of an F-35C crashing a perfectly good after doing a shit hot break. Like he did the shit hot break into the crash. So I don't know that I buy that argument, because I think that when you have automation, you need, as the operator, to have the skill set to do it without, so that you know what it looks like when it does it wrong. When HAL is not doing what HAL is supposed to be doing, the 1/1000th of a percent of a time that it goes wrong. Now, if that's the case, then I think, and we don't need to do carrier stuff. Then what you're telling me is that now the Navy can start focusing on tactics, and maybe we just don't need the Navy anymore, and we can let Air Force dudes do this, because if that was all the men from the boys, you guys
That's
were carrier
true.
guys, and now
That's
if anybody can do it, I say let the Air Force do it. We'll just do it ourselves. We don't need you anymore, because at least we do tactics. You guys don't even know how to do that.
That's a whole nother
Send
debate.
all hate mail to Gonky. I'm just kidding, by the way. That is a joke. Inter-service rivalry. That is a joke. I know all the Navy guys are like, I can't believe that he said the thing about what the hell. Why would he say that about the Navy? He's not a real pilot. Mover sucks.
Well, dude, when you really break it down, they're taking a lot of the pilot training out of pilot training as it is, right? I mean, in the Air Force, right? They're like, well, we'll just do.
It's a valid point, right? The Air Force guys don't know anything either. We can't give it to them either. Good point.
Well, but you know what I'm saying? Like the Air Force is like, oh, put these VR goggles on and you'll solo, right? And then we'll send you straight to an F-16. I mean, they're doing all this crazy wacky stuff to try to save money, and as long as the technology works, you almost don't need a pilot. You need a button pusher, right? It's like the Airbus, man. You don't really need a pilot. You need a trained, I was gonna say monkey, but a trained Gonky that can sit there and push buttons in the proper sequence to get it to do things, right? And I like to land it and take off by hand just because, right? But it could probably do that by itself. But the problem is in a combat aircraft is when things go wrong, right? Wartime, right? Not everything goes right, especially if we have a big war. These basic flying skills, I think, are so important, man. You just can't. I've talked about it before. The discrepancy between the legacy jet students, when I link up all 4 sims and do air to air, was just 180 out from linking up 4 Super Hornets and turning on all the toys with students and doing air to air. Same syllabus, same pictures, same threats, completely different outcomes. But the students that were flying the old stuff, getting their butts kicked, they learned basic skills to handle the fact that they didn't have all the toys. Whereas the students I flew with, and even the instructors, man, they would not take off unless everything was working. And I'm like, bro, you know what the presentation is going to be, right? Like, if we screw it up, it's a debrief item, right? Let them learn from our mistakes, right? But they just wouldn't do it because the technology wouldn't work. So I'm a big proponent, and you literally have to learn to crawl before you walk. And I think pilot training in the Air Force, and primary in the Navy, even advanced primary, is where
Army
that
too.
should happen. Army too, right?
Army too. Well, so the Army, we get love from everybody because the Army is flying the Lakota. It's a UH-72, EC-145 or Airbus H-145 now. Dude, that thing is like, you could almost put your feet flat on the floor and not use the anti-torque pedals. Dude, when I learned how to fly an R-22, the feet were like the most important part. Like all the other stuff, okay, but being able to balance on that beach ball.
Yeah.
That's the stick and rudder stuff. And they're not training to, full down auto rotations and stuff that like could save your life if you need to do it, because it's like, well, we don't need to. It's got 2 engines and we'll just get to an airport. We'll do a run on landing and stuff like that. And all those skills are basic. They are the baseline to give you that mentality, that, hey, helicopters are always going to try to kill me and I need to respect it. It's the same thing with what I'm assuming with the carrier, right? Is to have that respect for, if it's scary at night at the field, then I need to respect the hell out of it even more when I go to the boat for the first time. Because how do you translate that, right? Because
right.
And here's the other question I have, and this would be a good one for Wombat. Are you burning in a sense that every pass is a wave off?
Well,
like if you do 1,000 reps and never touch, are you burning in that left hand to go?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's not this. It is not the same. I mean, they've waved me off a couple times in close, and it's the last, dude. It's literally the last couple seconds.
Isn't that the muscle memory though? Like you want to hit you know,
Oh yeah, yes,
you're missing
exactly.
that critical piece.
That's a
Like,
good
doesn't
point.
that get people in trouble for not doing that?
Idle on the wires, man, and get you cut
Yeah.
past. Yeah, no, you bring up a really good point. Yeah, as soon as you're, it engages the, it hits the on button in the seat butt interconnect, right? As soon as you hit the deck, man, it's like straight to military power, and I'm going flying, and then oh no, I'm not, that kind of thing. So, there's the rest of the carrier flying, especially at night. You might as well be flying ILS, dude. Easy. Right, easy peasy.
Yeah.
Just keep the lines on, or the dot and the dot. Just right, just like at the field. It's the last, it's the last like 5 seconds where you make your money, or not. In my case, many times.
Well, so this actually, I like this comment. Survival instinct is an excellent teacher. How many times you flew GA, I flew GA, and anything really, the sense of comfort you got when you had an instructor versus when you were solo.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you are thinking that instructor is going to save you, or that, you're going to get that, you don't have to work just as hard, because survival is not a thing.
Right.
But if you're not training that imminent fear of death,
Yeah,
dude, when it's real like that, I don't think the first time you do it needs to be in a F-35.
No, there's a tremendous. I mean, I think this is a colossal mistake. Like I said, man, like there needs to be, if you're gonna have piloted aircraft, you need to train pilots.
Well,
and
maybe
maybe
that's the point. Maybe they're trying to get rid of piloted aircraft, and this is just the first step.
They might be 100%. The procedure for the whatever FA-45 maybe press the land button and don't touch the controls, right? So in the Hornet, when you do the cat shot, you don't touch the controls, right? You put one hand on the tower rack, and I put the other ones on the, on the throttles, and it's, it automatically comes off at the right angle if you got the trim set right, and you're off to the races. Maybe I don't know, man. But
there's the other side of this.
Yeah.
Well, there's the other side of this. We're, get off my lawn. The technology works. We don't need to do ancestor worship. And I'm a big fan of not doing ancestor worship. So if there's an argument against it,
ancestor worship.
I mean, dude, we got to get rid of the past.
I totally agree. But I have always found that I think you're going to get a better, more effective pilot if they have the basic skills, and then you bring on the toys later, like when they have the experience, because I mean, heck, let's just say hypothetically there's a land button, right, in the F-35. Well, dude, I mean, my 6-year-old can land an F-35, then just press land and it does it, right? I mean, what does that make him, a fighter pilot? Right? I don't know. Right? I'm just asking the question, but it's not for when things go right, right? It's for when things go wrong. Is all that stuff always going to work? I don't know. Right? They say it's supposed to, but I don't know if we're going to talk about it tonight, but like the F-35B ejection, the Marine colonel that punched out, right? I mean, clearly his F-35 instrumentation stopped working. The stuff that was not supposed to.
Let's segue and we'll talk about that. We'll skip the Maryland thing, Doug.
Sure.
We'll talk about that. Let me get a couple super chats and then we'll get to that one, Doug. Sorry about that. Hey, Aaron says, nope, that's the one that's going to get me suicided. Joe says, I just don't get it. Navy trainer can't trap.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Colin says, Gonky, what is the ratio of SCLPs in the boat between the FT-45 and at a Super Hornet rag?
Man, I'm digging a little bit, but I remember doing, so in the T-45s, we did 2 full FCLP periods, if memory serves me right, like one mid-course and then one at the end right before we went to the boat. In the Hornet, we only did an FCLP workup at the end when we went to the ship. But like Mover alluded to, we'd always save extra gas, come back to get a couple practice passes. We very rarely, as a student, did one to a full stop.
Yeah. Ethor says maybe the Navy can invest in those clips that Mover talks about finally.
Okay.
I don't know what that means.
Your other channel, maybe?
Clips. Super clips. Super cuts.
Mhm.
Chip clips.
I don't know.
Hmm. John says, nothing beats experiencing a real life smack in the face. Sims and half-ass practice only breeds bad muscle memory.
Mike Tyson, baby.
Hannah says, I appreciate your conversations because your observations apply across settings. I treat pancreatic cancer, but many of the themes you identify apply to challenges we experience in medicine too. Hell yeah. Thanks, Hannah.
Yeah, because technology is really, wow.
Harness clips. Harness clips. Yes. Harness clips. You know, you had to step into your harness and waddle your ass to the jet versus unclipping them. Yeah. The leg straps. Yeah. All right. So this was sent to me by the author of the article.
Oh, really?
Yeah, actually.
It's a really good read, actually.
Find his email. I'll let you cover it while I see if I can find his email. Go ahead, Gonky. You got
41 seconds. So it's basically from the pilot's perspective, the F-35B that ejected in where's North? Yeah, North Charleston, and it's Colonel Charles Trey Del Pizzo. In 41 seconds is, I guess, the time from when he started having issues with his airplane to when he ejected. And we covered this a while back. All kinds of humor came out of it because basically he was on approach and in the vertical takeoff and landing mode had instrumentation failure punched out, and then the airplane flew away. There was quite a few jokes, that, hey, I'm the pilot, lost my plane kind of thing. But it's from his perspective, which is pretty telling. He's an ex-Harrier pilot, right? So a lot of experience in jet aircraft, especially the VTOL stuff. And so as far as what actually happened to him, they'd just done a sortie. They were coming back to land. The weather was not good. So he's IMC, and he is transitioning from airplane mode to, I don't know what they call it, hover mode, helicopter mode, whatever, vertical takeoff landing mode. That's a picture of him. His dad was an A4 pilot in Vietnam, which is really cool. Wow. And that's him. That's him when he was a little kid in an A4, kind of like his dad flew. So, he's aviation in his blood, right? Runs in his family. So, and he spent a lot of time in the Marine Corps. And I think he was actually prior enlisted as well. But anyways, he's coming down, and I believe it's 700 feet or so. His helmet mount display starts to malfunction, and it's showing him all kinds of warnings and cautions, and it's telling him, things are bad, and then it just blanks off. And he starts getting these sensations, and he basically goes through the process that we're all taught as far as how to handle emergency, right? Analyze the situation, take appropriate action, and then execute, right? They call it an OODA loop, which I've actually never heard of. I've heard of an OODA loop before, but not in the sense of handling an emergency. Have you ever heard of an OODA loop as far as handling an emergency?
Yeah. Observe, orient, decide, act.
Yeah. So I'd never heard of that before. I was like, oh, okay. Anyway, so he goes through that process, and he decides he does the right thing. He's like, basically do it's like a go around. So he applies power, pulls back on the stick, and the sensation of the airplane going combined with what's happening with his visual cues is not jiving in his mind. In his mind, the aircraft is starting to come out of control, so he ejects. And obviously, the crazy thing is he punches out, and the airplane continues. He was in the middle of transitioning from like hover mode to airplane mode, and the airplane finished that transition and flew away and crashed somewhere else. And it took him a while, obviously, to find the airplane. And he talks about when the canopy comes off, or well, no, he goes through the canopy, but as he's ejecting, he hears the engine spooling down. But actually what it was the fan, the vertical lift fan back there spooling down. Yeah, as it was transitioning to airplane mode, which I thought was, I mean, if you talk to people who have ejected, it's like, the things temporal that they remember. Right?
Yeah, the temporal distortion.
Yeah, exactly. So, he comes back and he's slated. He's a standout aviator on a great career path, and he's slated to take command of, I forget the name of the squadron. VMFA, I don't know, something, whatever. Flying F-35s, pretty prestigious
That was
assignment.
VX. I thought he was
VX, you're right. Yes, it was VX. You're right. I forget which VX it was, but so he gets orders to this as the
VMX1.
VMX1, yeah, where they do all the testing, and they're gonna figure out how does the F-35 fit with the Marines, and do all that weapons testing and whatnot. So investigation happens. He actually breaks his back in this, so he did sustain an injury, so he recovered from that, and then he actually gets to his command, and he's in command for a very short amount of time, and they done an investigation, and one of the investigations, I guess, labeled as pilot error, which is crazy. And a short time into his tour as the CO, the commandant relieves him of command, and it's kind of sad. I was reading through the article thinking that there would be some closure to this, but he gets relieved of command, and he asks for, hey, why? Why am I being relieved of command? They did 3 investigations, I guess. 2 of them were like, yeah, no, he did the right thing, no fault. And then there was one that was really weird that said, no, this is pilot error, improper reaction to, whatever failures he was having. And he's out. He's out of the Marines, and there's really no closure to why he requested that the commandant. He requested a conversation with the commandant on, hey, can you tell me exactly why you're relieving me of command? And it was denied. So the article to me, as an aviator, is for Marine aviation, I think it's a bad look for the commandant to do that. So essentially what you're saying is, if the colonel would have died, right, everyone would have been like, oh, he should have ejected, right? So you're putting it out there consciously or subconsciously that you really need to think about punching out of this airplane. And he talks about it in the F-35 NATOPS, which I have not read. It basically states that if the aircraft's not handling per your control inputs below 6,000 feet, you need to eject. And that's what he did, because he had no instrumentation, and through aircraft feel and perception, it was not responding to his inputs, so he ejected, right? So anybody that's ever been in IMC, and
instrument meteorological conditions.
Yes. And had
Weather.
anybody who's ever been in the weather in an airplane who either lost their instrumentation or who has become disorientated will tell you, especially at 700 feet in a descent to land, dude, that's no time to be second guessing stuff. Like, if I was him, I'd have done exactly the same thing, is what I'm saying. So that's kind of the article in summary. The main part of it was like the guy got relieved of command with really no real expectation. I mean, I have an idea, myself, but it's just my opinion. But Mover, what do you think?
Tony Bartlemy that emailed me from Post and Courier and said, I'm a reporter here in Charleston and giving you a great rundown of the F-35B mishap. I thought you might be interested in our story about the pilot who ejected. He's talking for the first time about what happened, and his relief raised important questions that you so correctly dove into. Thanks, Tony. So thanks, Tony, for sending that over. One of the things the article talked about is he had been told he was going to get a call from the commandant, and then didn't happen. And then he was told everything was good because by the time he had taken command, it was all behind him.
Yep.
And then what ended up happening was this report went public. And so he's like, hey, I'm about to have a meeting with the Bobs, his bosses, and thinking, well, this is just going to be my opportunity to talk to him. This is not,
that's right.
It's not punitive or anything. And they're like, no, you're relieved of command. And it's like, well, what? Why? And he's like, well, the commandant said you're relieved of command, and that's the thing.
Yeah.
And so, dude, I hate to say I've been there, but I've been there, in a different way. I've seen the arbitrary side of leadership. I've seen the very arbitrary side of leadership. And when people make decisions about you, whether it's founded or unfounded, that's it. There's like they're not going to tell you why or they'll make up reasons why or whatever. For whatever reason in this scenario, the commandant, whoever's advising the commandant, all the people got this idea that they had to do something. And because it says in the article, high visibility command, VMX-1, they didn't want him in command. So they felt like the optic of him being in charge of the squadron was not good. And they didn't want him there anymore.
Well, the other thing the article talked about is he said, okay, hey, that's fine. Can I have a small change of command?
Yeah, they said no.
And they said no. It's like,
Yeah.
no, you're just fired. It's like, well,
yeah, it's a relief. Well, because it's a relief of command, and that has its own connotations to it.
Yeah.
A relief of command is an actual action. It's an adverse event. Like it is it is something that gets put in your file in your officer selection record. That's a thing.
oh yeah. Yeah.
So it's adverse information against you. I don't know. I mean, the mistake was putting him in command in the first place if there was ever a chance that this was going to happen. Because once you do that, once you hand over command of something, you are saying, I trust you to,
No take
fulfill your duties. And unless you screw it up, you're it for the 2 to 3 years or whatever it is. To not even give him that opportunity, I just like.
It reads really poor for
Yeah.
Marine Corps leadership, dude. I mean, you read it and it's you put 100 pilots in his situation and 100 of them are going to do the exact same thing he did.
Yeah, if I'm spatially disoriented and I've got instrumentation malfunction, I don't know how you stay with an airplane like that.
No, at 700 feet in the descent. Like,
yeah, in the goofy VTOL mode too. I mean, you're not flying it like an airplane either.
No,
you're flying it like an airplane was never meant to be flown
and shouldn't be flown. But yes,
and
continue.
should not be flown, and that's why everybody's buying the A model now. But I digress. We're in a different world now. This all happened last year.
Correct.
So
we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. Yeah. I mean, we've had decades of bad leadership and it has created this.
Yeah. I mean, I go back to, if I was a Marine F-35B pilot, I'm like, well, dude, if I have, I'd rather live than be in the Marine Corps. So I'm going to punch out, but my career is probably over. You know what I'm saying? Like it shouldn't be like there's a problem with the airplane. There was clearly a problem with the airplane. If his testimony is accurate and correct, something happened, that caused him to pull the handle. I mean, he's a highly experienced aviator, dude. He's colonel. He's not just, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't make any sense.
Well, and there's no fixing it. I saw he made colonel. When we talked about this last time, he was lieutenant colonel. There's no fixing it for him. There's not there. Like you can't undo what they have done. Like they can't come back and say, which they never will. The U.S. government will never admit fault on anything. They'll never say we made a bad decision. We shouldn't have done this to you. They'll never apologize. One day, 3 years later, they'll just fix your record and make it worse. But they won't make him whole in any way, even if they admit that this was a bad decision. Like even if they say, hey, what? We acted a little bit, we were too quick on the trigger here. Because it's like they say, the old law enforcement saying, you can beat the charge, but you'll still take the ride. He's taking the ride. He's taking the ride, and he's never going to get that command back. He's never going to get made whole from this.
Yeah, I just find it really hard that the commandant wouldn't at least. This is so strange. Like, why wouldn't
advised? He was being advised. Somebody somewhere strongly, hey, you need to do something. I doubt this was an action in a vacuum. I don't think he was.
Dude, if you're the commandant of the Marines and you're responsible for your Marines, I mean, they're all about taking care of the people beneath them.
Gonky.
All right, I'm off my soapbox.
What are you new? Do you think that these generals are suddenly men of the people? They're politicians.
Yeah, I know. Dude, it just you read it and it's just it's heartbreaking from a tactical fighter pilot's point of view, it's like, dude, this is garbage, man. And then, I read
well, we're only
commandant's-
getting his side.
That's true. That's
We
true.
don't
And
know what's
Yes.
happening behind the scenes.
that's valid. So maybe he got relieved from something completely unrelated to this crash.
We don't know what
That's right.
his background was. We don't know, right? We know he talked to, and there's no reason not to believe his side. I mean, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying, look, we try to be objective here.
Right.
We don't know what his previous history was. This the final straw? I mean, you wouldn't think so based on his service record, but
that's why it's like, why can't, if the commandant doesn't want to do it, hey, have one of your minions. Hey, look, tell him it has nothing to do with the crash. It was actually this thing that you did that, I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, to have no feedback, right?
The only thing I will say is if he had a history, why'd they give him command? But then I'm like, you know what? I've seen a lot of shitbags get command, so that doesn't make.
Yes.
Who knows, dude? I don't. It's hard to say. I don't.
The cancer.
We don't have the full story here.
Yeah.
If what he is saying is true, which I have no reason not to believe, then there's a injustice here. If there's more to the story, it would be nice to know the more of the story. But on the flip side, do you really want to, they may not want to throw him under the bus any harder than they already have. If they come out and say, well, he was, I don't know.
Yeah. Somewhere here in the article, I mean, the guy that wrote this article, I mean, they did some pretty extensive research. But yeah, you're right, dude. Maybe it is something else, but if it's because of this and they just made him look dumb,
if they waited till the actual report came out and then changed their mind, that's bad on the Marines.
Yeah.
That's bad on the Marines.
It says here to corroborate his story and other aspects of military investigation procedures, the Post and Courier interviewed a half a dozen military aviators, most of whom requested to be anonymous. Yes. The newspaper also interviewed F-35 experts. The newspaper obtained more than 700 pages of heavily redacted documents about the incident. So, I mean, this article is pretty well researched.
I'm not saying, dude, not. All I'm saying from a devil's advocate perspective, looking at it objectively, is there more to the story? I, as an aviator, don't see anything wrong with his decision to eject. I think the board didn't see anything wrong with his decision to eject. I, as an officer, say if you gave him command, let him show why. Right? If they should never. The error was either in giving him command or relieving him of command prematurely. But the in between is what I have a problem with. It's a binary thing, man. If there was a chance, and you're like, it doesn't look right, don't do it in the first place. Don't giveth and then taketh away. But if you were going to say the optics are bad because of the 911 call or whatever that was public, then perhaps he never should have gotten it in the first place because he got it after the fact.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. Yeah. He went back to flying the F-35. Like he was flying it,
That's what I'm saying.
He had recovered from a broken back. So.
You're either exonerated or you're not. We can't play these games over and over. And that's the problem here. All right. One more thing we got. Pilots are afraid to pee. So Sherry Walker, who I have no idea who this person is, other than it was like a 35-year United captain.
I think she did an interview on Tucker, which actually is
Tucker Carlson, and she came out and said that some pilots are afraid to take a bathroom break for fear that their unqualified co-pilot might crash the plane due to DEI hiring eroding safety standards so much. Sherry Walker says, and I just would like to say that is nonsense. Just like this picture. It is just as much nonsense as whatever this AI looking nonsensical picture is that Leading Report used.
I listened to her interview. I don't remember her saying that, but
it's probably the news media, but nobody's. Go ahead, Gonky. Please tell me I'm wrong.
No, dude, no one's afraid to pee. I don't know. I know where I'm at. You're not allowed to be alone in the cockpit, like in flight. Right. So if you got to go to the bathroom, one of the flight attendants will come up and sit in the cockpit with you. Now,
Bubbles.
if she's working, yes. So, now do flight attendant, can they help you with flying stuff and making a bad decision or a good decision? No. But there have been incidents. Air France 447 comes to mind, but in that case, the captain should not have left the cockpit, right? So they're in an Airbus A330, and he's like, "All right, boys, cool. I'm going to bed," right? And they're getting ready to fly through like a wall of thunderstorms, right? So it's at night too. So he goes to bed, and the FOs make a lot of bad decisions and crash the airplane. So, the captain disappearing and the first officer making a lot of poor choices and killing people, unfortunately, has happened. As far as just going to the bathroom really quick and coming back, man, that's a stretch. It's like, well, what are you going to the bathroom during like the final stages of the arrival into Newark? Or are you, plan your bathroom break at cruise altitude when nothing's going on so they can't screw anything up. But yeah, the article, I think it's just for clicks, man. But what do you think?
I want to go
You're
back.
the FO though, so I mean, it's like
I want to go back to the days of. It just means Dale Earnhardt and Company Incorporated. Like when you're like, oh, DEI, yep, those guys ran me off the racetrack. Like I am so tired of political nonsense. We ranted about this last week for a long time. It's nonsense, right? Because here's the thing. If you are so scared to do that, then you as the captain should have called pro standards on the ground and not taken the aircraft and not signed fit for duty. It is on you. And if you are then so scared during the flight, like something happens during the flight, then you got two options. You continue to your destination, call pro standards as soon as you get to your destination and report it, or you divert. Now, divert's going to make things a lot more complicated, and you really, 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 really have to believe that, imminent threat of loss of life or something's about bad are going to happen, which I doubt. But I don't know of anybody, because let's do the risk assessment here. If that is the case, or what are they going to do? Like, are they going to click off the autopilot and start, manual MCAS inputs? Like, what is it that they would even be worried about when you would be doing a bathroom break? Because we don't do bathroom breaks. Like you talked about, the departures or arrivals on landing. Landing is probably the scary part. If there is a scary part, that's it. That's when things, tend to go wrong. At 30,000 feet, cruise, autopilot on, everything is good. What would be the fear that the FO is just going to incompetently roll and pull?
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole idea between not being the sole person in the cockpit.
But if this is getting us the closer to the bathroom in the cockpit,
I'm all for that.
I'm not against this.
Yeah. I don't remember.
Don't trust away. Keep not trusting me if that's where we go with this.
I don't remember her talking about, this is a long interview, but I don't remember her talking about that specifically. She does touch on DEI and how it has affected the airlines, and she talks about that, and it's pretty, I mean, she's rational, right? So she's been a captain since 91, right? So she wasn't like the initial cadre of women to come in, but she was just after them. I think what was that on X? Did you find that on X?
Yeah.
River?
So was she saying that everyone else is DEI but her, or was she saying she's DEI too?
No, her argument was kind of like I was saying is, if you have more than one standard, it ruins it for the people who have earned it. And she says, in her own words, I'm an airman because I've earned it. Like I want to be a pilot and like I've earned it. I don't need, you know, I can meet the standard, and I did meet the standard, right? She's saying that I'm trying really hard not to say anything to make anybody mad, but
So what is yeah, maybe this is not a topic that, you know,
well,
I mean,
okay, so the crux of it is DEI is an issue, and she goes through how she believes it has degraded our our aviation industry in her mind and in her words. And I would suggest you go listen to that interview if you want to hear it, because I don't want to butcher it or misspeak for her. But it's very rational, and it's not like it's not it's not degrading or anything. But I don't ever remember anything like this. And like you said, Mover, I mean, dude, they put that picture, that AI created girl in the cockpit. Like it's just I don't know. Maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe it isn't. No idea.
You gotta look at the hands. Well, she's wearing shorts. That's a skirt.
She looks like a mannequin, dude. Like but like you said, it's nonsense, man. It's
the captain's in the wrong seat.
Maybe she's a check airman doing a captain upgrade. Come on, Mover. They can be, well, females can be anyways. Yeah, dude. The bottom line is it's nonsense. You know, just in that instance there, just replace DEI with, you know, crappy FO, right? I mean, right? If you're a captain and your FO is not good, it's like, I'm gonna stick around. I'm gonna hold it for a while. See how this pans out.
Not me, dude. Gotta go. You gotta go.
Yeah.
Inshallah.
Yeah. Inshallah. Yeah, dude. Or like every other person, dude, when you're like in 2 hours from nowhere at cruise, like
where else would you pee?
That's what I'm saying. Like
nobody's peeing on the arrival.
No one's peeing. Or if there's a line of thunderstorms in front of you, it's not like, man, I gotta go, dude. Hey, you decide. You know, it's gonna be a while too. So you decide. And you're gone. If you got, I mean, it's. I think it's a whatever you call it on X, a post that's just meant to get attention. I think it's nonsense.
All right, nonsense it is. Fine.
I don't know. That's what I think.
Aaron says, stay under 1 million views and you shouldn't get Clinton. No problem.
Yeah, we're working hard on that.
Joe says, follow up. Can teach ball flying be done at RAG?
Yes, it can, and it is taught because every airplane has its nuances as far as ball flying.
Cool. Radar bolter practice, such BS. 904's inspection suck radar. The LSO friendly jarhead. Okay. Cool. Short timer says Steve Ladd had a really good passage in his book of what's going through spatial disorientations. Like Steve Ladd's a good dude. Corvette World. I'm late. What I miss? Heard Mover sold his vet and got engaged. I told you.
There it is, dude.
All right, dude. It's time to end this thing.
Yeah.
I think mental health minute. I'm just gonna be real quick, and it's basically treasure every day, because you know we're saying goodbye to a fallen hero tomorrow, who kissed his wife and kids, and no one in a million years would have ever thought something bad like this would happen. He was Deputy of the Year. In fact, we just found out he was up to get another Deputy of the Year award by one of the Rotary clubs later on. Like, he was still getting awards. Life is not guaranteed. Every day is precious, and take that time to make that phone call. You know, you've been thinking about somebody, you know, you've been like, I really should just do it, because you don't know if the last time you talk to them is the last time you're going to talk to them. So that's my pitch for mental health. Gonky?
Yeah, I'll be quick too, man. I mean, that's spot on, dude. The most precious thing that you have is time, and you know, once it's gone, it's gone, right? So I won't get into details, but you know, my family were having some pretty serious health issues with one of my family members. So we're trying to maximize as much time as possible. And you know, the friends that I've lost in the fighter business, there's times on a beautiful day, you know, when I'm standing outside and I look and it's like, man, I can't believe those guys are gone. And, you know, thank God I'm still here to enjoy this day, you know, because don't anymore. And their loved ones, there's a hole in their heart. So cherish the day, kiss your kids. Like you said, Mover, I try not to end a phone call with a fight, with the loved one. Just we gotta cherish the time that you have here.
Doug, wrap it up.
Yeah, excuse me. That's really good advice. And the tragedy to me is it always seems to take some big event to help us remember. Either you almost die or somebody you love almost dies. The trick is to remember it every day.
Yeah. Cool. And unrelated but comedy relief is that a car says adult diapers.
Those exist. Thanks, man.
Especially if you're an astronaut.
Yeah.
Talk about living every day like it's the last.
Oh,
you throw in a pair of adult diapers. See, that's love. That's true love. You might end up in jail, but that's true love. John says greater love has greater love has no one than this, that someone lay down his life for his friends. John 15:13. Rest in peace. Bro.
That's it.
All right. I got to get up in the morning. It's too late. The show must end now. Thank you all for your service. Thank you all for
thanks for joining us
up
tonight.
We'll have another show next week, we hope.
We will.
Laura says that's what she's been saying too. And so is Aiken Dragon. See, our Twitch people are now here too.
Twitch people.
I love it, dude.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
See ya.